Don't worry, Philippe, don't worry.
Bonjour à tous, hello everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Bonjour.
Salut Arnaud.
Bonjour à tous. Comme vous le savez, nous avons des participants allemands et donc le webinaire va être en anglais. So, welcome everyone. Hopefully this sound is good. And as I just said, we will conduct this webinar in English for our participant from Germany or for England who is joining us. And thanks for joining us today to talk about one of the big change coming up in France next year, which is e-invoicing. I'm Christoph Schlottauer, president of Coffra Group, and I'm delighted to kick off this session. Let me quickly introduce today's speakers. We have Maribel, who is a CPA and one of the partners of Coffra Group. We have Laurence Brugert, who is tax lawyer and also a colleague within Coffra Group. We have Axel Eichert, who is SAP director at Coffra Group. And we have from our partner Seeburger or Seeburger or Seeburger, depending for where you come from and how you like to pronounce it. We have Vanina Chevalier, who is sales director, and Baptiste Petit, who is sales manager. Welcome, everyone. And so to start, let me just say that our partnership with Seeburger is linked to yes, a meeting in a trade fair where we discovered that we had many clients in common. And most importantly, that we share the same DNA in the way how we work with our clients, how we approach problems, and how we envision client support and client service quality. And so it was quite easy and obvious for us that we would team up and that together we would build a unique, streamlined approach and solution to help you, to help companies to face this challenging part in France, which is e-invoicing, and the requirements you may have as a company and as a group. So this webinar today is about several topics. So let me give you just the program for the next hour in a nutshell. We will give you a very short and brief, I promise, overview about Coffra Group and Seeburger. We will give you the most important items, things to know about the e-invoicing reform in France, just to set the scene and to make sure that everyone knows what we're talking about. We will introduce you to our project methodology, Seeburger's and ours. We will show you the approved platform Seeburger has put in place, and we will showcase and explain the next steps for international compliance. We'll finish with a Q&A session, so feel free to drop any question you may have while we are talking and speaking into the chat anytime, so we pick it up and will most hopefully be able to answer them at the end of the webinar. And so before we start, just let me give you a few words and say a few words about Coffra Group. Most of you already know us. We are a professional service firm combining CPAs, auditors, lawyers, and consultants. For the last 40 years, we've been supporting international companies and their subsidiaries in France, especially groups which are in the Franco-German, German-Franco environment. We are 200 people, 200 colleagues, working from 3 main offices, one located in Paris, where we are all sitting together today, one based in Strasbourg, and one in Nice. But we serve our clients, and we have people all over France, as you can see on this map. We are very proud because in 2025, we've been certified as a B Corporation. And as I said, our national bicultural attitude and approach allows us to serve our clients all over France and to deliver the best we can do. So with that, I will let Vanina present Seeburger and give you some insight about our partner and a good partner for e-invoicing in France.
Thank you, Christophe. Yes, so just a few words about Seeburger. We are a family group. We are based in Breton, so in Germany, just near to Strasbourg and Karlsruhe. We have around 1,200 employees around the world, and we are present in 29 entities around the world. We have just one platform. The name of our platform is BIS. And with this platform, we are in capacity to manage all the projects of our customer, and we have around 100 connectors with different ERP on the market, and we have more than 14,000 customers around the world too. So just a few words about our entities in France. As you can see, we have one entity in Paris and one in Lyon. And we have, of course, a big presence in Europe and in America and Asia. And just a few words about our customer. We have a lot of international customers, of course, but with our solution, we are in capacity to manage all the different projects with all the different type of volume and needs. It's possible to manage every project for every type of customers. And that is maybe a few words about our board.
Yeah, of course. As Vanina said, Seeburger is a German-based company who invested a lot for the French team, as Vanina and I are representing. So that's a big project for Seeburger to address the needs in France, and to do so, they give us the responsibility to provide the local expertise, but we are only and every time backed by our board, members of the board, and of course, members of the managing direction. So it's really important for us in France to have this backup, because we have a lot of support by our product team, as you can see, and also from Rolf Wessel. That is really important because he's part of the third administration in Germany, and he's doing also the French and German workshop with the French third that's called FNFE. So it's really important for us to have this collaboration between Germany and French. So we provide the local expertise, but we always every day in contact with the group in Germany. So maybe we can deep dive directly into the hot topic of the day, the French invoicing reform, what we are talking about. You might have heard from different compliance approach all over Europe. So we have this centralized clearance that we have from our neighbor in Italy, but also next year for Poland with the CASEP portal. So that's basically when the government platform is in the center of the approach of the schema. So that's not what France decided to do. We have a governmental platform, but backed with providers with certified platforms that will allow suppliers and buyers to communicate with the governmental platform. It's important not to think that it's like in Belgium or Denmark or all the people-based countries, because they are a four-corner model. But in France, it's a five-corner model, as we're gonna explain to you in a few slides. What's important in France is that the providers must be certified by the tax administration in France. To be certified, the approved platforms must be able to achieve a lot of tasks, mainly technical, to connect with the central governmental platform that we call here in France the PPF, but also to provide also a lot of security for the transaction about the invoices in France. So just to remind you that Seeburger is already pre-approved, like all the other participants, like all the other APs in France. And we plan to be definitely certified by the beginning of next year.
So as of September 1st of September 2026, all companies in France will have to be able to receive electronic invoices. The large companies and mid-sized company will have to be able to invoice, to issue e-invoices and e-reporting as of the 1st of September 2026. So if your company have 250 employees on a standalone basis in France, you will have to be able to issue e-invoices and e-reporting as of September 2026. So, two sorts of e-invoicing. You have as itself the e-invoicing and the e-reporting in France. E-invoicing is concerned when you have transactions between two French companies. That's to say domestic B2B. In this case, if you have this transaction, you have to be able to issue e-invoices. E-invoices, you have to transmit your transaction, the billing data, but also what is specific in France, the invoice life cycle. That's to say, you have to be able via the platform to receive the invoices, to reject, to declare if you receive the payment, and so on. This is also included in the e-invoicing. When you are not concerned by the e-invoicing, then normally you have to do the e-reporting. So e-reporting is for non-domestic supplies in B2B, international supplies, and for B2C transactions, that's to say transactions with consumer. In this case, you have to report some data concerning the transaction itself, depending on the qualification of the transaction. And you also have, in certain cases, to transmit payment data. This is the case for supply of services. Why? Because in France, the VAT becomes due when you receive the payment for services.
And how do we manage all these flows? Because as Laurent said, we're gonna have to transfer invoices, lifecycle, e-report, and also directory flow to the PPF, the centralized platform of the tax administration in France. So to do so, here you can see perfectly the five corners of this model, because the suppliers and the buyers will have to use an approved platform that will do all the centralization to the PPF, the central portal. Just for your information, all the communication between the APs will be through the PayPal network that you might know because it's used globally in many countries in Europe. And just as an information, Seeburger has its own PayPal access points because we manage invoices from many times now. And as you can see, everything, all the flows that you can see, we put some colors in order to make it more readable because it's not complex, but a little bit dense. All the flows has to go through the approved platform that will centralize and send everything to the public portal. If we go to the formats and the data requirements, just for information, the French tax authorities chooses 3 formats that can be managed through this reform. It's UBL, CII, and Factor X that you might know from also the German reform as the X-Rechnung. But in France, it's a PDF, a readable PDF plus an XML for us to manage all the data. So these 3 formats are not your concern because you can choose to manage one of the 3 if, and you will have to make these invoices go through an approved platforms, and the approved platform will do the mapping. So just choose one format and we will manage all the mappings in order to map your invoices in one of these 3 formats. What's important for you is to be able to provide the mandatory fields and the data in order for us to do the mapping and have access to this data. So what is the data expected? It's of course based in a European standard, as you might know, the EN 16931. It includes the core data and 4 new mandatory fields for the French companies. So as you can see them on this slide, the customer serial number, delivery address, nature of the transaction, and of course, as Laurent said, the option for VAT payment based on debits, if of course you are in this case. And then you will have the extended CTC FR profile, that is an extension for specific use cases that we will comment later. And all these data must be backed up also with status and payments that you will have to provide through these flows.
So, and now another specific use of the implementation of the e-invoicing in France, we introduce what is called use cases. You have 42 different use cases listed. It's a sort of framework for the technical implementation of the new requirements. You have 3 main categories. You have, first of all, the instructions requirements. You have to add more data than normally. For example, you have to send the invoice to a third party if you have, for example, a shared service center in a group. You have a reduction of data as for restaurant bills, for examples. You have the case if you want to involve a third party in the invoicing, if you have, for example, a mandate or self-billing. So in this case, the third party will receive perhaps the invoice, will issue the invoice for you and will receive, for example, the payment. Then you have to be able to also inform you and via the platform and so on. So there is a specific description how to do it. Third main category is when you have several invoices or for example, you have accounts. In this case, it impacts the life cycle, so you also have to do it a certain way. So you have really, when you do the mapping of your different flows, to identify if you are in one of the 42 use cases. so that you will collect the necessary information, do the necessary developments, and so on to be able to comply with the rules.
Okay, so just a few words about the time. Actually, we are at the end of 2025. We are in progress. We will finish the test with the government platform just in a few weeks. And yeah, the idea is to be completely registered at mid-January. That's our target, and we will be approved platform completely at this moment. And on Q2, we will start the production for our first customer. And of course, for September 2026, it's the official date to have in production all our customer in our approved platform.
As a reminder and to summarize, here you find the 4 key points of the transposition of the invoicing in France. So the specific life cycle, you not just have to transfer the data concerning the billing itself, but also concerning the payment and so on. You have a specific e-reporting in France with highly with data to be transferred with is particularly high. You have what we mentioned before, the 42 use cases, and also, as described before by Baptiste, you have to have an approved platform for issuing all your invoices and so on.
Maybe we will go quickly just to see what's about the invoice flows. So we'll start with the outbound invoice flow. Your company is at the left side of this slide. So you will need, as I said, to send to, in this case, Seeburger, all the data that must be sent to your customer, but also to the French governmental platform. So we will from them do a first mapping to our standard C invoice that allows us to do all the compliance check and also the mapping to send afterwards the lifecycle, the e-reporting, and the directory flow to the PPF. And then we will map it again in one of the 3 formats that I described it, the UBL, CII, or Facture X, in order to provide it to your final customer. And we can also manage the archiving during 10 years. It's what's required in French for the audit trial. And then for the inbound flow, it's the same idea. The invoices will come through the right side, and maybe I can answer one of the questions that has been asked. Yes, the approved platform has to manage the 3 formats because we won't choose what you're gonna receive. So your suppliers might send UBL, might send CII, might send Facture X. So yes, the platform must be able to manage all the 3 mandatory formats. And then from that format, we're gonna do again the mapping in our internal format, and again the mapping in your preferred format. So we know that many of you are using SAP system because we know from our also German and French-based customer that SAP is the best in town, let's say, and we are able and we are used to work with SAP system and to integrate to SAP system. Just a few words, but we have a strong partnership with SAP as we are based in Bretten. You might know that SAP headquarters is not far from our headquarters, so our managing team also know pretty well their managing team. So yes, we have a good and perfect partnership with them that allows us to integrate and to map again the invoices in your IDOC format or whether it's your favorite formats. And just look when we are when we're gonna integrate all the invoices, you can whether choose to keep tracking everything in your SAP system or in your own ERP system, as we are fully integrated, as I said. But you can also use our dashboard that we can provide that will allow you to see all the technical events, all the statuses. And of course, if you click on one invoice, you will have all the detail for your audit trail and all the information that you might need in an invoice. But as a reminder, you can choose not to use this portal and keep tracking everything on your ERP system.
So a few words on Coffra Group's experience on the methodological challenge of implementing invoices. This slide illustrated how the invoicing project is generally managed and how Coffra Group can help you in this. So we distinguish between two main phases. The first phase is really the analysis of the existing flows and processes. And here, of course, we can help you to identify it in your company. And the second phase is really the implementation of the approved platform and developing the tools and processes existing. But of course, in order to do phase 2, you have to do phase 1 because you have to know your internal processes and flows. So first part of solution 1 will really be to do the mapping of the VAT flows. That's to say, what transaction exists? Is it relevant for e-reporting or e-invoicing, for example? Am I able to provide all the data necessary for each flow? And also, have I identified all the use cases? Other important point is to see what is the volume of each flow. Because, for example, if you have a flow which one invoice every year, you will not do a development if necessary. In this case, perhaps a manual entry could be possible. So here the idea is really to do a sort of mapping. At the end it is, you have a table with all your flows and what you have to do for each flows from a VAT, invoicing, e-reporting point of view. And here also you have to do a diagnosis of your internal processes. The first step is often to read your reliable audit trail documentation. As you may know, in France, you have to have, in case of a tax audit, a documentation with describe all your internal processes and your internal controls to prove that your invoices are correct. And in this documentation, you describe all your processes, your ERP, and so on, which is the first step to do a sort of mapping of what exists, what is my information system, what is my master data, is my master data complete, yes or no? I have to do some developments to be compliant, and so on and so on. And of course, the phase 2 or solution 2 is really the implementation of the PA and implementation with testing, training perhaps of the end users, and of course, if everything works, the go live. But perhaps Baptiste has to say something on this slide too.
Yeah, of course. We help our customers to go live quickly. Just a few words about the implementation phase in our project methodology. So we will provide a first planning that we have to also work with you because you might have your specificities, your projected timeline. We can, of course, implement this complete solution within months. We can, of course, adapt our work frame with you. But the idea is to help you and to have a dedicated team for you in order for it to be as smooth as possible. And of course, our word here and our advice is to start it in the next month. Not
As soon as possible.
Yeah. Not to wait too many time, because we will need at least a couple or 3 months to implement the solution. You might be also users of Seeburger in other countries, maybe, so it can be quicker. But yeah, please don't wait next summer to implement the solution, because it will be a bit complex.
So just few words about our platform, our solution. If I summarize, there is 4 pillars for this platform, of course. First of all, for invoicing, we are in capacity to manage all the different formats for this reform, UBL, CII, and factories. We can manage, of course, EDIFACT if it's necessary and if you want continue to manage this type of invoices. And we have a solution for legal archiving, of course. For the e-reporting, we are in capacity to manage the e-reporting and to send the e-reporting to the government platform. We manage today all the life cycles. So for the reform, it's easy for us to continue to manage this type of messages with the platform, with the government platform. And to finish, we have an API solution to exchange data with the directory of the government. So we are in capacity to manage every type of messages with the government.
In a nutshell, and to make it more visual, here is the overview of our approved platform service. So that's our central invoicing service adapted to the French expectations. You might be at the left of this slide, and through our integration service, we can fully integrate within your ERP system, as I said earlier, whether it's SAP, ECC6, S4, but also other ERP system. So through this integration service, we're going to manage all the invoices, the life cycle, and the e-reporting that is expected by the French governmental platform. And then we will receive all the data and we will map it into the correct formats, do all the compliance check, maybe the legal archiving, and as I presented earlier, the monitoring platform that is optional. We can, of course, receive all the invoices sent by your suppliers in any formats, and send also to customers invoices in any formats. We are able to do the mappings in all the formats that you might use today. And Vanina said earlier, the EDIFACT, the EDI files that you might manage today, we are also able to do so. And then at the bottom of this slide, you can see that we are fully integrated also to the central directory and the concentrator, that is the PPF services from the French governmental platform. And so the few advantages that we can highlight from today's presentation is that it's important for you to have a central architecture. As you might know, Seeburger is also well known for its middleware, so we are also able to centralize all the invoices and all the flow from your different systems, whether it's ERP, it's e-commerce, it's CRM, whether it's in structured formats or not. So the idea is to centralize and to uniform your processes, and of course to provide a scalable platform for your automation. We are talking today about compliance, but we also are able to automate some business needs that you might have. And you will have also benefits, whether it's cost effectiveness, but also you can easily track all your invoices, and through the life cycle, I have a perfect idea of where are your invoices and whenever they are due to paid, or if you're gonna be paid also soon. And maybe to have a few words about what's also next around us, because we talked a lot about France. We also, of course, provide an e-invoicing hub. We presented you our French invoicing service, but we also able to provide a service in different countries all over the world. Whether it's in Germany for our German neighbors, whether it's in also Italy, in Belgium for next month. Maybe it's you have 3 more months to be ready for the Belgian a new compliance that is starting in a few weeks. But also in Spain and all the countries in Europe and also all over the globe. It's the same idea. We can go through the PayPal network and do also all the compliance checks for every country that are within our compliance map. And just for your information, we experienced some compliance in different countries, such as Italy 6 years ago now, and also Romania last year. And we are expecting also Belgium in a few weeks, Holland in a few weeks also, and then France, as we presented, in 2026, and then Spain, Germany, but also many more countries when you might be implemented, and where we can help you to be compliant also. And just maybe a last word about all the integration possibilities with Seeburger, because we told you that we are a middleware, an integration platform. So what is important is that we are doing that since many, many years. So we have more than 20,000 mappings already in our catalog. So it's really easier for us to integrate with your partners, because the partner connections are already existing. And we have also connectors for all your applications. You might challenge us with the one application, and we might have it already in our catalog, because we have, as of today, more than 100 connectors for all the application that we process today for our customers. And also, what is really important is that we have customers from many years now. It's a partnership-based consulting that we provide with our customers. So the idea is to have a follow-up on all your integration needs in all the years of our partnership. So it's really important for us to have this really close partnership with all the customers of Seeburger. And I think that's it for today. If you have any question, please feel free to ask them. We have 20 minutes still.
So, first question we have, is the Facture X the same thing than Zugpferd? Zugpferd. Axel, perhaps?
In fact, yeah, Zugpferd, it's the German format for the electronic invoices, and parallel can be used to Facture X in Germany. As far as I know, Zugpferd is not exactly the same structure as required in France for Facture X. But
yeah, it's the same idea. That's to say you have a PDF, so something which is readable by a human, and you also have the XML in France for the Facture X. I don't know you, but me, from my experience, I would say that most of our customers choose in France the X Facture.
Facture X, yes.
Facture X, yes.
And we've got a question from Cédric. Could you clarify how Seeburger could take the information from SAP to forward it to the AP of the supplier and to the public platform.
Yeah,
But
of course.
I think Cedric is speaking about the eDoc.
Yeah, okay. So the idea is to make everything smooth and to automate what is possible to do. So we are able to work with API to make all the data transfers with SAP, or whether you prefer a protocol of communication between you and us. We can work with AS2 or SFTP. It's really classical, but we can adapt to what you are able to process on your side. Let's say that yeah, today we work a lot with the API.
And other question for you, I think. Yeah, of course. I don't remember.
Yes, so no, we have the question how to define the size of the company. So it's really on a standalone basis, not on the basis of the group. So you have to look. You have it on the right side of the slide. So only if you are a small company, you will. That's to say that you have less than 250 employees and a turnover under 50 millions or total assets under 43 millions. In this case, you are a small company, and in this case, you will only be concerned by issuing e-invoices and e-reporting starting 2027. In the other cases, you will have to do everything starting 1st September 2026. And also, I hope it's totally clear now, if you are a small company, you have in any case you have to be able to receive e-invoices starting 1st September 2026.
And could I be in advance for the reform? I mean, if I am a small company,
yes, of
could
course.
I be ready in 2026?
Yes, of course. For example, you often have groups in which you have several companies. Some companies are concerned, some not. And in this case, some groups choose to do it now for every single company. And also what we saw in practice is that some suppliers are obliged by their clients to do e-invoicing because they want to only receive e-invoices or e-reporting, so invoice.
And one question regarding the use cases. Is Seeburger able to manage the 42 use cases or not at all?
Yeah. Okay, actually, we are in capacity to manage the use case of our customer. So as you can see, there is a lot of use case today, and maybe more at the end of the year. We decided to manage the use cases of our customer, and after that, in wave 2, we will be in capacity to manage the rest of the use cases. But yeah, for the moment, we manage the use cases for our customer.
Thank you, Vanina. And one more question is regarding the typical planning. How many months do you think necessary for a mid-sized company in France to implement totally the e-invoicing and e-reporting?
Yeah, of course. So it will basically depend on different things. Like, for example, are you ready? Have you also started to audit your processes? Have you mandated Coffra to do so? Because sometimes it's easier when Coffra already told us, oh yeah, there are 16 use cases and they have 3 entities in France, and it's easier when all the processes are already clear for us. But if it's not started, let's say that the project can take around 4 to 5 months if we want to have the time to do it smoothly. But if you're maybe already customer of Seeburger in another country, or if you already have your processes audited. So it can be, of course, quicker. We can do it in like 3 months to have the time to do it effectively.
And one question for Laurence: what it is the first step to anticipate the project for
Is
you?
to do the diagnosis, to see internally what are all the flows from a VAT point of view, and also concerning the processes, to really have an idea what exists in my company.
And we had a question from Elias, but Axel, thank you to answer in the chat, to answer regarding the sirène and sirette, and it is obviously a French specification. And there is some more question or not?
Yeah, from Olivier.
From Olivier.
So if I summarize, we will receive all the supplier invoicing in our PA solution. Okay, it depends the format. It could be FactoryX, but it could be CII or other. And at the end, in your SAP, yes, you will have a visual of your invoice. So a PDF, of course, because just data in your SAP, it's complicated. So you will receive a visual of your invoice too.
If we go a bit further for the SAP processing of supplier invoices, you might also need some help to validate some invoices, to approve them, to maybe have reconciliation with your orders. So that's more of a business needs, let's say, and not a compliance needs. So yes, of course, we have a fully integrated workflow within SAP, but let's say that's another topic that we won't discuss today. But yes, we can also help to manage supplier invoices in a business point of view.
Okay, super. And one question from Muslim: what data validation rules must be applied before sending invoices to the platform? So I think he's speaking about the check, the preliminary check.
Yeah. So we will have some compliance check in order for us to be sure that all the expected data from the governmental platform is available in what you send us. So these data are not the same that what you might send to your customer. So it's, let's say, compliance check on our side, but we can also provide some business checks that can be on your specific data. And let's say that the validation rules are on our end, and we recommend to limit them to the compliance check for the moment. So we're just able and sure that all what's expected from the French government is available. So none of your invoices are rejected by the platform.
And perhaps what is also important is that you, in case of a diagnosis, that you really validate that all the data is available, and the data to be transferred is depending on am I in e-invoicing concerning B2C or B2B? It's not the same data. If I'm in invoicing, it's also not the same data. So you really have to check for either flow, for either transaction, which data have to be available and have to be transferred.
And Laurence, is there a difference between B2B and B2C? Obviously, there is one, but can you just elaborate a little bit? What's the difference for?
The difference is B2B is transaction between companies which are subject to VAT, and B2C will be transactions from a company to an end consumer.
Yeah. And what's the difference in e-invoicing?
E-invoicing, you will only have it when you are in B2B, and B2C, you will have it in e-reporting, and also B2B, but only international one. And you have not to indicate the same data. For example, for the consumer, you have not to indicate his name and his address, But if you do a transaction in e-reporting with another company, you also have to indicate information on your client, for example, if it was the question.
We've got a very interesting question from
Yeah.
but I don't see the name. Are foreign company with VAT registration in France so obliged to be compliant with this reform?
So normally, just an VAT registration will not make you obliged to do all this, or to do invoicing and e-reporting. But if you are established in France in a from a VAT purpose, a little bit complicated. In this case, for some transactions, you have to be able to do e-reporting, but only e-reporting, not e-invoicing for the moment. But to be honest, it's not totally clear which transactions are concerned. I think there's a lot of discrepancies in the rules.
And we've got a question from France regarding the rules and the threshold in Europe, and are they unified or not?
Not yet.
Unfortunately, not yet.
Not yet, but it's on its way, because you might have heard about the VIDA reform, VIDA, it's VAT in digital age. So that's in discussion. This we are part of the GINA association in Europe and globally in the world that is discussing in order to make a European reform starting from 2030. So we will have some rules that will be unified at this moment. But let's say that for now, the only unification that we can have is through PayPal.
Thank you, Baptiste. One question regarding the pièce d'audit fiable from Florence. Is it a preliminary step, or do we have to do that before, or could we start without it?
You could, of course, you can, of course, start without it. Our advice will be to do both. That's to say, because if you have tomorrow a tax audit, even if you have e-invoicing and e-reporting, you have to be able to present the reliable audit trail documentation. So what we advise is to do both in parallel, because you have some points in your e-invoice, in your reliable audit trail documentation, which will be useful for e-invoicing and e-reporting. So I would do both in the same time.
And we've got a question from Cedric regarding the cost of Seeburger. But Cedric, what I could do is to give you the detailed communication from Baptiste and Vanina, and you could discuss together in order to have an idea of the SAP environment of your company.
Exactly. We need to have some information about your company. What about your ERP? What about your volumes? And we can prepare an idea of the cost. Just maybe a few words. You will have two costs. One for the build of the solution, of course. And second, when you are in production, you will have one subscription and one cost by invoice. That's all. But yeah, we need to discuss and have more information about your project.
Yeah, to do the implementation, you have to know what they have, what software they have, what transaction they have, and all the details.
But we know the company where Cedric is working, so we can support you for that. So Moussine again, do we need a real-time communication or batch processing? And how does the monitoring platform alert us in case of failures or rejection?
So it's not mandatory to have real-time communication. It's more on your side. Do you want to process it through API in order to have a real-time processing? It's not mandatory from a compliance point of view. Yeah, we can do also batch processing. It's basically what you're able to do today. We won't make it more complex for your IT integration. So let's say both are possible. And how do we alert you? It's through our notification system. So basically through our monitoring platform, you will have notifications, or it can be also through emails.
And one question from Christophe, can the posting in SAP will be automated if the incoming invoices are imported as a data?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, it's the idea when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can automate everything. So yeah.
Do you have some more question or I think it's finished. So we are going to send to everyone the presentation. And one more question. How do you get the payment information from a customer or supplier? So between SAP.
Yes, directly from SAP.
It's a
With
flow,
the-
you know. We have an exchange of data. You just have this information in SAP, and we receive this information from your SAP system.
Okay, now.
If we have no more questions, it's time to wrap up. As Marie just explained, we're gonna send out the presentation, and I'd like to thank all the participation for a lot of questions. I'd like to thank the team here for giving explanation. Regarding myself, I learned something. I learned something about a Y scheme in France, and that once again France has its own specialties and is different than other countries. That's why we love this. I also learned that we have something where it's an organization question. You have to understand the organization of your firm. You have to monitor it and you have to prepare it. And then you have a technical solution. I think we had a very good explanation today what kind of solution you offer in an SAP environment and also in a general environment, because as I understand, it's not only SAP limited. So again, you have the pictures of everyone. You will have the contact details. We are here to support you and to answer the other questions. It's 11:58. We wanted to finish at noon. Like all around the table, we are German-minded. I think we finished on time, and thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Merci.
Bye bye.
Merci.